Welcome to Reread. I'm going to talk about one short story in 3 comic books here, or 1 comic series and 2 short comic tales. I think I could do this all in easy time. First one is from Star Wars Galaxy 3. It's called Lumaya, Dark Star of the Empire. Basically, Lumaya just took out a Rebel or New Republic base, excuse me. She has Crimson Stormtroopers to make her look, different and interesting. And then it's a very short story, and then it kind of gives her history, what she's been doing lately. And it talks about issue 107, where she was shot and left for dead, but she wasn't. She got back up. So now she's still a threat out there in the Empire. And of course, way later on in the timeline, will we see how big a threat she actually ends up being. It's fine. Basically, it's just a story to tell you Lumaya's still alive. She survived issue 107. The next one, the one big one I guess I want to talk about is XWing Rogue Leader. This is a 3-part story arc series. It takes place, and I had to rearrange this on the timeline, so by the time this comes out, it'll already be fixed. But it says it takes place 1 week after Endor, and then another week can transpire too, so maybe 1 or 2 weeks after Endor. So I had to back it up a little bit here. But it starts off with Tycho and a few other Rogue Squadron people on the planet Endor, and they have to kill a Gorax. A Gorax comes out of nowhere, and they have to kill it, which was really cool. After that, Luke, who is in charge of Rogue Squadron still at this time, decides to take them on a mission to Corellia. Unfortunately, the Empire's there, and now they have to escape. A Sullus named 10 will get kidnapped, so in the 3rd issue, they're going to rescue 10. But and there's all these, there are these dark scout troopers. They're in black, and the leader has like a red sash or red outlining. So that was kind of interesting. But they're just trying to capture the rogues. It was a trap to set up the rogues or whatever. So whatever mission they were on was faked. I should mention, it's not just X-Wings the rogues are using here. They're using B-Wings and A-Wings and Y-Wings too, because they just don't have enough, funds to have a bunch of X-Wings, which is right. They don't have much money, so they're just using whatever ships they can to fly to create a team together, because they're kind of just a ragtag group of fighter pilots, and I really enjoyed that. Now, of course, once they rescue 10 and capture whoever the main villain is, you hardly get to know him because it's only 3 issues. Luke basically, retires from Rogue Leader and passes that baton to Wedge. So this is the passing of the baton to Wedge story, which was not necessary to do, but it was fun. There's nothing great about this story, but it's a decent story. Finally, the last 2 short stories I want to talk about are from Star Wars Tales. The first one from Star Wars Tales number 12. It's called A Day in the Life of. It's basically a day in the life of Wedge Antilles. You get to see him fighting, in a starfighter pilot, talking to pilots, writing letters to families saying, "We're so sorry for your loss," and trying to get a meal at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, he meets Luke Skywalker. Now, Wedge says this takes place 3 days. 3 days after Endor. So again, I have to back this up on the timeline to have it take place right after Truce of Bakura, because Truce of Bakura probably could have happened in 3 days. So maybe Luke just got back from Bakura and said, "Hey Wedge, how was your day?" He went, same old, same old. I mean, it's all right, but 3 days after Endor. I don't remember that when I read it the first time. The last story is Star Wars Tales, from Star Wars Tales 18. It's called Number 2 in the Galaxy. This one really sucks. Risso hates Boba Fett, and he wants to take him out so he can be the number 1 bounty hunter in the galaxy. But of course, when he thinks he does take out Fett, he does not. Fett teaches him a lesson, but instead of killing him, he tells Rizzo, I'm going to keep you alive so you'll always know who's number 1. And Rizzo goes, "Well, I guess that makes me number 2 again." And it's really a dumb story, something I would expect from Star Wars Tales, obviously. But again, here's this, really just open. It's almost like a continuity breaker here, that everyone knows Boba Fett is alive, but Han Solo and the Alliance. They don't know, because remember, Boba Fett wants his secret kept from them. But it's okay if the rest of the galaxy knows about it, knows that he's still alive. And they really should have. I know no one can avoid to tell Boba Fett stories for that long, but at least tell them taking place after Dark Empire. But people couldn't help themselves. They had to tell some other stories, and this was an empty timeline for Boba Fett. So they tried to squeeze in a few more Boba Fett. Now you could say, well, Matt, couldn't this take place after Dark Empire? Yeah, maybe, I guess. But what would take this guy, I don't know. I don't care because it's tails. That's the best answer I have for you. All right, folks, that's it for now. See you next time.